Hi, this is Stephen Frew. We're talking about scaffolding. We're talking about relationships, and we hope that this is helpful to you. And if it is, we'd like you to text or email us, stephen@stephenfrew.com. Rad is the videographer here, and he will put that when we post these. We were posting them on YouTube, but we're going to do it through social media when we're ready to do that. That's coming soon. And he'll have in that post how to contact us and how to work with this. We're going to offer a subscriber service that gets those who want to go deeper. There'll be a lot of material there, a lot of resources there, but also we're going to have a consistent release of podcasts on relationship, as well as the offer of the possibility of telephone coaching or Zoom coaching. There's a lot of stuff here that we want to do and want to contribute to this conversation. So we were talking about scaffolding, and the first thing in scaffolding was the love's origin. That was the last podcast we just did. The second thing is the elementary phase, which comes from Egyptian pottery, which the Egyptians 7,000 years ago made a difference between women in the first elementary phase when they were having babies and taking care of babies, and the transformational phase when the babies were grown. So we did something with that psychologically. So the elementary phase in relationship is coming off love's origin. You buy a house or an apartment, you work on your career. You work on the furniture in the place, you work on what you're going to do with retirement, what kind of savings programs or investment programs you're going to have. You start having children, or if you don't, you start looking at what this relationship is really for, what you want to do. Maybe you're wanting to travel, maybe you're wanting to create a business, maybe you're wanting to help solve some environmental issues. Whatever it is, that in that elementary phase, you're kind of putting your roots down and kind of establishing who you are, not so much why you are, but who you are. And that can look a lot of different ways, we all know. But let's use the illustration because it's, I think, concretizes it a bit and helps us to break through the metaphor and helps us to see it. Let's use the illustration of John and Mary who marry and have 3 children. And if you use that, we can apply it to a lot of things. So don't worry, I'm not saying that's the only way to go. I'm not. But I'm saying that's one way to imagine it. So you got John and Mary, and they get married and they have children. Now, those 10 or 12 or 14, 15 years are probably happening between their mid to late 20s and their early 40s. So what happens in their early 40s is those children are entering adolescence. I do a ton of coaching here. And I coach people whose children are coming into adolescence, and that's a very big deal, right? They are changing. They are leaving childhood. They are leaving, aren't you a cute little girl? All of a sudden, you're 14, a guy yesterday. 14-year-old daughter is not the girl I knew 2 years ago. That's true. She's not the girl she knew 2 years ago either. She's a young woman facing a whole lot of changes physically, but also socially, also relationally, and she's becoming something. Now, if you look at that, if I'm clear in articulating that, then you can look at the same thing in yourself, because midlife, 40 to 60, midlife is your second adolescence. You and her, you and your partner, you and him, whoever, what you've done is you've been getting to know each other, you've been building your kingdom, you've been establishing stuff, your savings, your investments, and all that stuff we talked about. And you know each other, but the gas, the juice of that is running out. You're in midlife. And the question that keeps coming up is, who am I now? Who do I love? Do I love her? Do I love him? Affairs happen in the 40s and 50s with more frequency than you know. Because the people are trying to self-define. Well, I met this woman at my work, and, she laughs at my jokes, and she really thinks, and my wife doesn't think that. Or I met this guy, and he's so much unlike Bob, who I married. Bob just comes home and watches TV. I met this guy and he's really interested in me and what I'm about, that kind of thing. That's how affairs happen. Well, that's real because in midlife, you're trying to get to a new level of yourself. You're trying to literally become more intimate with who you are. And as Simon Sinek would say, why you are. So what happens is the coming of a lot of questions. And if you're a healthy person, those questions are healthy, but there's a caveat there. Those questions are also scary. Because it might mean first place you go to is maybe you don't want to be with me. Maybe I don't want to be with you. That's one level. But there's a whole bunch of questions underneath that. So you go from elementary living to transitional living. Transitional living is all about the questions. And we're arguing that those questions are the healthiest thing you can do. Not the answers yet, just the questions. To say them out loud to each other and to believe in the love's origin, connecting to love's origin, to believe in the love and to ask a lot of questions. Who am I? Who are we? What's this partnership look like? What am I doing in this partnership? That kind of stuff. That can take a year. That can take 10 years. That can take all kinds of time. From transitional, you segue into transformational. When I talked about the Egyptian pottery, those early the elementary women had little heads, little breasts, big butts. They were all about maintenance. Transformational women, though, had a right-sized head and a right-sized chest and so forth. They were a different mother they were representing. That mother is the who am I mother. What is my life about? And you can get lots and lots of stuff on this. I can give you lots of stuff. People who write about it and talk about that. There's a great poem, When I'm Old I Shall Wear Purple. A lot of women have told me about that poem. So Maya Angelou, is that how you pronounce her name? She Angelou, maybe. She talks about that, about accepting fully and celebrating fully the woman that she not only is, but is becoming. So you go into transformational, and that opens up all kinds of opportunities for self-definition. And those you usually probably need a good tribe or a good coach, someone to help support, because you're leaving all the normal points of reference that you've used to say who I am, and you're letting yourself say, I was that, but I am this. I am becoming more like myself. That's transformational. And that phase, however long it takes, is followed by legacy. What's my boon for mankind? What do I have to give back to the world? That's called scaffolding, because it gives you a kind of structure to hang the changes that are going on, so you don't reduce it to what's wrong with him or what's wrong with me. Of course there's something wrong, because there's plenty wrong. There's always plenty wrong, whether it's with your children or with each other. So we have to be able to say, this needs to change, but I'm changing. And I want you to know that my love is deepening and getting more real and more tangible to me as I imagine, as I use metaphor language, as I imagine the new version of me that's being revealed to me and to the world. Stephen Frew, thank you for listening.